In the fishing village of Lighthouse Bay, where the Atlantic meets the red earth of West Africa, there are nights when no one dares look at the moon. The elders warn the young ones, when the moon swells full and white like a calabash of secrets, stay indoors. Lock your doors. And whatever you do, never speak the name Adanna. But to understand why, we must go back 5 years. Adanna was the pride of Lighthouse Bay. A schoolteacher with eyes that held kindness and a voice that could calm even the roughest fisherman's sons. She lived in a small house painted yellow like morning sun, where she grew hibiscus flowers that bloomed red as promises. But in small towns, brightness cast long shadows. Chief Okonkwo wanted her land for his new resort. Mom Ngozi envied how children loved Adanna more than they feared her. Inspector Choku desired what he could never have, her respect. And Pastor Jeremiah, well, he couldn't bear anyone in his congregation shining brighter than his Sunday sermons. So they crafted a lie as intricate as a spider's web. Missing church funds. Adanna's name on forged documents. Witnesses who suddenly remembered seeing things they never saw. Evidence that appeared like mushrooms after rain, overnight, unexplained, impossible to disprove. The trial lasted 3 days. The verdict took 3 minutes. The night before they came to take her to prison in the mainland, Adanna stood on the beach under a swollen full moon. The waves whispered secrets. The wind carried promises. And when morning came, her yellow house stood empty. Her hibiscus flowers withered by noon. They searched for weeks. Her body never surfaced. The ocean, they said, had taken her, swallowed her whole like Jonah, but with no God to spit her back. Life returned to normal in Lighthouse Bay. Or so they thought. 5 years passed like seasons of forgetting. Then came the full moon of March. Chief Okonkwo woke that morning to find his resort plans rejected, not just delayed, but exposed. Every bribe documented. Every corner cut revealed. By sunset, his construction site was seized, his bank accounts frozen. His wife left with the children that very night. But here's what no one could explain, the stack of evidence that appeared on the district commissioner's desk. It was wrapped in yellow fabric. And inside the folder, pressed like a bookmark, a single dried hibiscus flower. Coincidence, they said. The full moon of April rose like a judge's gavel. Mom Ngozi's trading empire collapsed in 1 day. Her shipping containers vanished. Her warehouses empty. Her business partners suddenly remembered documents she'd conveniently forgotten to sign. Contracts that proved she'd been embezzling for years. She ran through the market that evening, screaming about shadows that moved wrong, about a woman in yellow who stood at the edges of her vision but disappeared when looked at directly. Madness, the townspeople whispered. But they began to notice, these catastrophes only struck when the moon was full and white. May's full moon found Inspector Choku. His crimes unraveled like cheap twine. False arrest. Planted evidence. Brutality covered up. But what terrified him wasn't the investigation, it was the woman he kept seeing in his rearview mirror. Always there at night. Never there when he turned around. On the night of the full moon, he crashed his car swerving to avoid a figure in yellow standing in the road. When other drivers arrived, they found him babbling, she was there. Adanna was there. But the road was empty. His career ended. His mind fractured. They found him 3 days later trying to dig up the beach where Adanna's house once stood, crying, "I have to confess. I have to tell her I'm sorry." June's full moon came for Pastor Jeremiah. His congregation discovered the truth about their beloved shepherd, the affairs, the stolen tithes, the young women he'd counseled into silence. But what broke him wasn't the scandal. It was the hymn. Every night of that full moon, he heard singing outside his window. Adanna's voice, clear as church bells, singing the psalm she'd sung the last time she attended service, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?" On the third night, he couldn't bear it anymore. He confessed everything from his pulpit, including his role in framing Adanna. They dragged him away still screaming about the woman in yellow who sat in the back pew, visible to him alone, smiling with infinite patience. By July, Lighthouse Bay was a village haunted by its own guilt. People stayed indoors during full moons. They painted their doors with protective symbols. They made offerings at the beach where Adanna's house once stood. But nothing stopped the unraveling. Every person who testified against her. Every official who'd looked away. Every neighbor who'd stayed silent. When the moon swelled full, their turn came. The young ones began to ask the elders, but how? How does a dead woman take revenge? And that's when old Mama Ikin, who'd lived through 92 full moons, told them the truth. Adanna never drowned. She never left. You see, on that last night 5 years ago, Adanna didn't run to the ocean to die. She walked into the forest that hugged the village's edge, where the old way still lived in roots and shadows. She found Baba Ogun, the herbalist everyone whispered about but pretended didn't exist. And she made a trade that only the desperate make, her daylight life for shadow existence. He gave her a gift, the ability to move between the visible and invisible world. To exist in the spaces people don't look at. The corners of rooms. The gaps in memory. The blind spots of conscience. During the day, she was less than a ghost, she was the feeling you get that you're being watched. The sense that someone just left the room. The shadow that's slightly wrong. But when the moon became full, that's when the barrier between worlds thinned like old cloth. That's when she could move fully in our world for 3 nights. That's when she could touch things. Leave evidence. Whisper truths into sleeping ears. Stand at the edges of vision. She never left Lighthouse Bay. She'd been there all along, living in the yellow house that everyone could see but somehow never noticed. Walking the beach at dawn when I slid past her like water off stone. Sitting in the market while people looked through her like glass. Waiting. Watching. Learning every secret. Every sin. Every crack in every lie. And every full moon, she collected what was owed. They say she still lives there, in the spaces between seen and unseen. The yellow house stands empty in daylight, but smoke rises from its chimney during full moons. The hibiscus flowers bloom only when no one's watching. Some say she'll stop when everyone who wronged her has paid. Others say revenge that patient never really ends, it just finds new targets, new sins, new accounts to settle. The fishermen know better than to cast nets during full moons now. The children learn to respect what they cannot see. And in Lighthouse Bay, justice moves slow as shadows but certain as the moon's return. Because Adanna taught them the oldest lesson in the oldest way. Revenge is a dish best served cold. But patience. Patience is forever. And the moon always returns. So the next time the moon swells full and white like a calabash of secrets, remember, some people don't need to haunt you loudly. Some people just wait in the shadows, watching your lies unravel like thread from old cloth. Because darkness isn't the absence of light. Sometimes, darkness is just patience wearing the moon's face.